sent down to the countryside as an educated youth, my cousin and I faced our work assignments. One option was the pig farm, working alongside that rough fellow with the problematic class background. The other was to become a teacher at the village school, a much easier and more respectable job. In my past life, my cousin got the school, and I was sent to the pig farm. Later, the primary school teacher was caught up in the turmoil and subjected to public criticism. The rough-hewn man was actually a son of a prominent Beijing family compound. After his name was cleared, he took me back to the city, and I became an official's wife. Given a second chance, my cousin blushed as she said to the village chief, "Labor is the most glorious thing. I'll go work at the pig farm." I picked up my lesson plan and walked towards the brightly lit classroom. My cousin didn't know that in my past life, that rough-edged man had taken a liking to me. It was because when he was burning up with fever and near death in the cowshed, I was the one who carried him on my back for 30 miles over mountain paths to seek a doctor. My knee scraped raw from kneeling. "Lin Wan, you're not very strong. The work at the pig farm is filthy and exhausting. Let me go instead." My cousin Lin Jiao's voice was sharp and urgent, brimming with barely contained excitement. She snatched the allocation list right out of the village chief's hand. Acting as if she thought I was about to steal a gold ingot from her, the village chief was taken aback for a moment, his long-stemmed pipe clattering against the table. "Lin Jiao, my girl, are you absolutely sure about this? That pig farm doesn't just stink to high heaven. You'd also have to work alongside Zhou Chen, that black element. A primary school teacher's job is a cushy one, out of the wind and rain. You're really going to turn it down?" The other educated youths around her were all looking at Lin Jiao as if she were a fool. After all, in those days, who wouldn't want a job that was easy, respectable, and still earned you work points? Lin Jiao shook her head vigorously, her face flushed with an unnatural feverishness. "Village chief, please don't try to talk me out of it. 1. The chairman taught us to temper our will in the most arduous places. I'm not afraid of hardship or fatigue. I insist on going to the pig farm to reform my thinking." After she finished speaking, she deliberately shot me a sidelong glance, a smug smile curling at the corner of her mouth. I stood to the side, clutching the cloth bag I hadn't yet put down, my mind crystal clear. Lin Jiao had been reborn, too. In her previous life, she had scrambled just as frantically to snatch the primary school teacher position. She found the pig farm filthy and foul-smelling, and she looked down even more on that quiet, poorly classed Zhou Chen. I was assigned to the pig farm, working from dawn till dusk and enduring the scornful looks from the villagers, but who could have guessed that Zhou Chen, whom everyone looked down upon, had actually come down from a compound in the capital. Later, when the policy changed and Zhou Chen was rehabilitated and returned to the city, I benefited from his good fortune, becoming the envied official's wife. And what about Lin Jiao? She misspoke at school, got swept up in that whole mess, and ended up in a terrible state. She's trying to steal my chance to become that glamorous general's wife. Watching her so eager and impatient, I couldn't help but laugh to myself. She only saw the outcome, with no idea how brutal the process was. With a personality like Zhou Cheng's, do you think just anyone could ever get through to him? In my past life, I nearly lost my own trying to save Zhou Cheng. If she's so eager to suffer, why should I stand in her way? I went along with it, letting a perfectly measured hint of hesitation and concern show on my face. "Cousin, that's a pig farm. You've always been so particular about cleanliness since we were kids. Don't you give me that phony concern." Lin Jiao cut me off directly, clutching the assignment sheet protectively to her chest. "Lin Wan, I know you want to go and get some experience too, but I'm the older sister. This hardship is my burden to bear. You just go ahead and be a teacher. Go on. Live the easy life." She spat out the words "easy life" with heavy emphasis, her eyes full of scorn. In her view, going to the primary school was a death sentence, while the pig farm was the golden road to wealth and glory. Seeing her determination, the village chief sighed, knowing there was no point in arguing further. "All right then, if you're set on this, it's settled. Lin Jiao will go to the pig farm, and Lin Wan will go to the village school. Let me be clear up front, once it's decided, it's final. Don't come crying to me later." Lin Jiao was grinning from ear to ear, nodding repeatedly. "I won't change it, not even if you beat me to death." Clutching the assignment sheet, she strode out with her head held high, like a rooster that had just won a fight. As she passed by me, she lowered her voice and hissed, "Lin Wan, it's my turn to live the good life. You just wait for your bad luck." I watched her retreating figure and gently brushed the dust from my clothes. Bad luck. In these unusual times, it's hard to say who's really down on their luck. I picked up the elementary school teacher's lesson plan from the table and walked out of the village office. The sunlight outside was just right, warm and soothing on my skin. Since I've been given a second chance at life, I want to live it differently. Isn't it wonderful to not have to tend to pigs or wait on people, and just focus on teaching and nurturing students in peace? As for that high and mighty Zhou Qing, let whoever wants to chase after him do so. I'd love to see if the pampered Lin Jiao can stand the stench of the pigsty. Back at the educated youth settlement, Lin Jiao had already started packing her things. She neatly folded those polyester shirts and even dug out that jar of vanishing cream she usually saved for special occasions. Well, Lin Jiao, you're bringing vanishing cream to work at the pig farm, her roommate, Wang Jiadi, teased while cracking sunflower seeds. Do you think the pigs can appreciate the scent? Lin Jiao shot her a look but didn't stop what she was doing. What do you know? This is called maintaining your image at all times. Besides, working folks deserve to look good too. I know exactly what's going through her mind. She was trying to seduce Zhou Qing. In her past life, Zhou Qing had been down on his luck, but his face was truly handsome, with his dashing eyebrows, starry eyes, and a high-bridged nose. Even the shabby cotton-padded jacket he wore couldn't hide his noble air. Lin Jiao was planning to start her conquest from day one. I ignored her pointless fussing and quietly gathered my books. Early the next morning, Lin Jiao, smelling sweetly of perfume, went out. I also shouldered my bag and headed to the village school. The village school was housed in a dilapidated temple at the east end of the village, consisting of a few adobe rooms with window paper mostly torn. Yet, as I looked at this dilapidated classroom, I felt an incredible sense of peace. In my past life at the pig farm, I was exhausted every day, my back perpetually aching, and my clothes forever carrying the inescapable stench of manure. Now, all I had to do was clean up these few classrooms, and I could teach in peace and quiet. I found a broom and a rag and began the deep clean. I had just finished wiping down 2 tables when I heard a commotion break out outside. I poked my head out to look and saw Lin Jiao, her hand clamped over her mouth and her face deathly pale, running towards the educated youth outpost. She looked as if she had just swallowed a dead fly. It wasn't until lunchtime that I heard from Wang Jiadi about the morning spectacle. You should have seen it. Lin Jiao walked into the pigsty and immediately gagged from the smell. Then Zhou Qing told her to shovel the manure. She just stood there with the spade, frozen for ages, too scared to start. In the end, Zhou Qing did it himself, scowling the whole time. Lin Jiao even tried saying, "Comrade Zhou, you've worked hard," but he completely ignored her. He just dumped a whole bucket of slop into the trough and splashed it all over her. Wang Jiadi was laughing so hard she nearly fell over, spraying food everywhere. I kept my head down, shoveling rice into my mouth, but couldn't help a small smile from tugging at the corner of my lips. If working at the pig farm was that easy, everyone would be fighting tooth and nail for the job. The stench of piled up, fermenting pig manure was enough to knock your head clean off. Zhou Qing's personality was as cold as ice, even when I first arrived in my previous life. He never gave me a warm reception. He was being suppressed due to his family background, and he was nursing a grudge, keeping his guard up against everyone. Did Lin Jiao really think she could win him over with just a pretty face and a few sweet words? It was like a dream. On my way home from school in the afternoon, I ran into Lin Jiao at the village entrance. She had changed her clothes, and her hair was damp, clearly fresh from a bath, but the faint, lingering smell of pig manure still found its way to my nose. The moment she saw me, her face fell. "What are you looking at? There's nothing to see," she shouted at me in a fit of rage and embarrassment. I simply smiled faintly. "Cousin, how are you getting on with the work at the pig farm? If it's really too much for you, you could go and ask the village head now. He might be able to switch you to something a bit easier." I was deliberately trying to provoke her. Sure enough, the moment Lin Jiao heard this, she stiffened her neck defiantly. "Who says I can't do it? Comrade Zhou. Comrade Zhou is just looking out for me, not letting me do the heavy lifting. What do you know? This is how we build revolutionary camaraderie, through shared labor." She was all talk, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. It seems Zhou Qing's cold demeanor has given her quite a hard time. I nodded, looking properly chastened. "That's good. I was worried my cousin might have been treated poorly. After all, that Zhou Qing has a bad background, a terrible temper, and I've heard he's even hit people before." Lin Jiao's expression changed, clearly recalling Zhou Qing's sinister gaze, but she quickly regained her composure and snorted coldly. "That's just other people being prejudiced against him. I believe that if I reach out to him with genuine sincerity, I can win him over." With that, she turned and walked away, her steps far heavier than they had been that morning. I watched her retreating figure and shook my head. Sincerity, do you even possess such a thing? All you have is greed and scheming, and people like Zhou Qing despise scheming above all else. In the following days, Lin Jiao launched her all-out offensive. 2. She found a new excuse to go to the pig farm every single day, gritting her teeth and pushing through even when she was sick to her stomach. She even secretly gave Zhou Qing the steamed buns she had saved from her own rations, but Zhou Qing didn't even glance at them and tossed them straight to the pigs. Lin Jiao was so upset she cried quietly under her quilt, yet the next day she acted as if nothing had happened and went right back to fawning over him. The whole village saw it as a joke. Has that educated youth Lin lost her mind, giving up a perfectly good teaching job to go smell pig manure instead? And she's always hanging around that black category element. Doesn't she care what people will say? The gossip spread like wildfire, but Lin Jiao paid it no mind. She was convinced she held the key to the future. Things weren't exactly easy on my end, either. The reason that teacher got into trouble in my past life was because someone had slipped some unauthorized material into the teaching resources. A banned old book had mysteriously appeared on the lectern. It just so happened that an inspection from the higher-ups was underway, and the situation was immediately classified as a serious offense. The very first thing I did after taking over was to turn the office and classrooms upside down. I meticulously checked every corner, every book, even every scrap of paper. Sure enough, in a crack between the bricks beneath the lectern, my fingers found the book that could be fatal at that moment. Its cover had yellowed with age, and several traditional Chinese characters were starkly printed on it. A cold sweat broke out on my back. If this thing was found, my life would be over. I didn't dare make a sound. Under the cover of night, I took the book to the back of the mountain and burned it to ashes, watching the flames consume the pages. The knot of anxiety in my chest finally loosened. In this lifetime, I'd defused that landmine. Just as I was fully focused on teaching, Lin Jiao stirred up trouble again. That day, a heavy rain caused a corner of the pigsty at the farm to collapse. Several pigs got spooked and ran off. Zhou Qing was chasing the pig alone in the rain, covered head to toe in mud. Where was Lin Jiao? She was hiding under the thatched shed, shrieking out commands. Zhou Qing, grab that one, it's running to the left. Hey, watch out, don't let that pig knock you over, she yelled with great urgency, yet didn't dare take a single step into the rain. Zhou Qing finally managed to herd the pig back, collapsing exhausted in the mud, gasping for breath. Only then did Lin Jiao run over with an umbrella, pulling out a handkerchief to wipe Zhou Qing's face. Comrade Zhou, are you alright? You've really been through a lot. I wanted to help just now, but my shoes have no grip. Zhou Qing roughly brushed her hand away, his gaze as cold as steel. Get lost. It was the first time he had ever spoken harshly to Lin Jiao. Lin Jiao froze on the spot, her face flushing and then paling. I happened to be passing by and witnessed the scene. Zhou Qing looked up, and his eyes met mine. Those eyes were filled with disgust and exhaustion, and a trace of despair so faint it was almost imperceptible. In my past life, it was also at this time that I quietly helped him repair the pigsty. I wasn't afraid of getting dirty, I didn't mind the hard work, and I didn't say much. That's how he slowly began to let his guard down around me. The Lin Jiao of today only filled him with disgust, seeing me. Lin Jiao seemed to have found her perfect punching bag. Lin Wan, come to watch the show, have you? I'm not like you, always shirking your duties to laze about. I stood on the ridge, umbrella in hand, looking down at her from my vantage point. Cousin, just flapping your gums isn't real work. If you really want to help, you should change out of that Dacron outfit and get some rubber boots on to work the fields, if you're scared of pig manure. What's all this talk about reforming your thinking? I left Lin Jiao speechless and fuming, stomping her feet in frustration. Zhou Qing, however, suddenly stood up and, without so much as a glance at Lin Jiao, walked straight into the curtain of rain. His retreating figure looked desolate and lonely, like a wounded lone wolf. Lin Jiao wanted to chase after him, but tripped on the muddy path and fell flat on her face. She lay in the muddy water, finally breaking down into uncontrollable sobs. I ignored her and walked away. This show is only just beginning. The turning point came faster than I had imagined. The heavy rain poured down for 3 days and 3 nights straight, the temperature plummeted, and many people in the village caught colds. On the evening of the 4th day, while I was preparing my lessons, Lin Jiao suddenly burst into my room. She was soaked to the bone, her face deathly pale, yet her eyes held a strange, feverish intensity. Lin Wan, quick, come with me, now. She grabbed my arm and tried to drag me outside. I shook her off. Are you insane? Where do you think you're going in this downpour? Lin Jiao was panting heavily, her voice trembling. Zhou Qing, Zhou is sick, he's running a high fever in the cowshed, delirious from the heat. My heart sank. In my past life, it was the same illness. Zhou was burning up with a fever of 40 degrees. If he didn't get to a hospital in time, he was done for. Back then, it was me who carried him on my back. Stumbling along for 30 li of mountain road to the town clinic, begging the doctor to save him, my knees were scraped raw and bloody against the rocks, and they've ached with every rainy day since. But it was precisely that time, after Zhou woke up, he took my hand and vowed he would never let me down in this lifetime. Lin Jiao clearly understood this was a pivotal moment. She was so excited her hands were trembling. This is my chance. This is the opportunity heaven has given me. If I save him, he'll be devoted to me forever. I stared at her coldly. If it's such a great opportunity, why don't you go save him yourself? Why come to me? Lin Jiao was taken aback for a moment, then put on a look of righteous indignation. I can't carry him. The mountain path is so treacherous, and it's raining outside. How can I manage alone? Lin Wan, you're strong. Please help me carry him to the village entrance. I'll manage the rest of the way myself. I was so infuriated by her audacity that I nearly left. She wants to take all the credit, but won't even put in the bare minimum of effort, so she wants me to do all the grunt work while she reaps the rewards. Cousin, you've got some nerve. I sat back down in the chair, picked up my pen, and went back to writing the lesson plan. That's your comrade Zhou, not mine. If you want to save him, do it yourself. If you can't, then just watch him die. I'm not going, and that's final. Lin Jiao grew frantic and lunged forward, trying to snatch the pen from my hand. Lin Wan, how can you be so heartless? That's a human life. How can you stand by and do nothing? Besides, I'm your sister. Can't you just help me? I shoved her away, stood up, and fixed her with a piercing stare. Help? How? You want me to carry him out, just so you can take the credit and tell him you saved him? Lin Jiao, do you think I'm an idiot? In my past life, I paused, swallowing the words that were on the tip of my tongue. What about the previous life? Lin Jiao caught those words keenly, her eyes flickering. It's nothing. I let out a cold laugh. My answer is final. I'm not going. If you truly love him and want to marry him, you'd crawl on your hands and knees to carry him out of here if you had to. If you can't even handle a little hardship like this, you might as well give up on the idea right now. My words made Lin Jiao's face turn pale. Then flush with anger, she gritted her teeth, glaring at me with fierce intensity. Fine, so you're not going. Is that it? Lin Wan, you just wait and see. Just you wait until I'm the commander's wife. You'll pay for this. With that, she turned and dashed into the rain. As I listened to the thunder outside, my inner turmoil belied my calm exterior. Zhou is innocent. If Lin Jiao truly doesn't go to save him, he might actually die. But I can't go. In this life, I've chosen a different path. If I go, I'll just get tangled up with Zhou all over again. Besides, this is the final test of Lin Jiao's character. If she were truly willing to risk her life for wealth and status, then I'd have to respect her guts. The pity is, I know her all too well. Time ticked by second. Outside, the rain grew heavier and heavier. An hour later, the door to the educated youth outpost was flung open. Lin Jiao was back. She had returned alone. She was perfectly dry and clean, clearly having never made it to the cowshed and instead having taken shelter from the rain under some eaves. Her face was deathly pale, her lips trembling. It's so dark. The road was too slippery. I took a fall. He's going to be okay, right? She slumped to the floor, muttering incoherently. Looking at her pathetic state, I felt nothing but cold indifference. Just as I thought, her so-called love, her so-called resolve, proved utterly worthless in the face of hardship. She wants all the rewards without being willing to pay even the smallest price. Lin Jiao, I walked up to her, looking down at her from my height. You're giving up. Lin Jiao snapped her head up, her eyes blazing. Who says I've given up? Only a fool would go out in this downpour. Once the rain stops, I'll go deliver his medicine as soon as it stops. He's got 9 lives. He won't die. I gazed out at the pitch-black night, listening to the rain that seemed ready to swallow the whole world. Zhou, in this life, you'll have to tough it out on your own, and Lin Jiao, your days of easy living are over. The rain had stopped by the next day, and the sun beat down fiercely on the muddy ground. The village was in an uproar. Zhou hadn't died, but he'd come perilously close. It was the village's barefoot doctor who, passing by the cowshed, heard the commotion inside. He went in, gave him 2 fever-reducing pills, and forced a bowl of ginger tea down his throat, pulling him back from the brink of death. As the doctor stepped out, he happened to see Lin Jiao walking toward the cowshed. hypocritically carrying a bowl of porridge that had long gone cold. What a sin. The old doctor pointed a finger right at Lin Jiao's nose and began to berate her. That young man is burning up so badly he's convulsing, and he keeps crying out for water. You're in charge of the pig farm and live right next door. How could you not even offer the man a drink of water? If I hadn't been out gathering herbs and passed by, this man would have died here today. The villagers formed a circle, pointing and whispering at Lin Jiao. Is this the educated youth who said she was going to reform our thinking? How heartless, you wouldn't even lift a finger to help when it was right under your nose, and you want to date her, more like you're after her money or her life. Lin Jiao stood holding the bowl, her face flushing a deep, purplish red. She tried to defend herself, but was cut off by Zhou Qing, who emerged just then. Zhou Qing's face was deathly pale as he leaned against the doorframe, his gaze dark and terrifying. Last night, I heard you outside. His voice was hoarse, yet every word was clear. You called out twice, then complained about the heavy rain and left. The bowl in Lin Jiao's hands clattered to the floor, spilling congee everywhere. I didn't. I was going to get a doctor for you. Get a doctor? Zhou Qing sneered. The doctor said he just happened to be passing by. Lin Jiao, stay away from me from now on. If I see you again, don't blame me for what happens. With that, Zhou Qing turned and went back inside, slamming the door with a deafening crash. Lin Jiao stood rooted to the spot, as if the very life had been drained from her. She's finished. Her reputation in the village is completely ruined. Meanwhile, I was publicly commended by the commune for repairing the classroom in advance and protecting the school's property. A bright red letter of commendation was posted on the village bulletin board, right next to Lin Jiao's written self-criticism. The stark contrast stung Lin Jiao's eyes, making them red. Back at the educated youth outpost, Lin Jiao lunged at me like a madwoman. It's you. This is all your fault. Lin Wan, you knew he would get sick. Why didn't you warn me? You did that on purpose. You wanted to see me make a fool of myself. I sidestepped to dodge her swipe and slapped her backhanded. Smack. The sharp crack of the slap instantly silenced the room. Lin Jiao covered her face, staring at me in disbelief. Are you awake now? I looked at her coldly. You chose this path yourself. You're the one who gave up on saving him. If you have the nerve to snatch an opportunity, you'd better have the skill to handle it. If you can't handle it, don't blame the opportunity for being too hot to hold. A flash of venomous resentment passed through Lin Jiao's eyes. Well done, Lin Wan. You just wait. This isn't over. Lin Jiao didn't stay quiet for long, since the path of romance was blocked. She began to resort to underhanded methods. Within days, rumors about me began to spread through the village. They accused me of promoting bourgeois ideas at school, teaching students about so-called freedom and democracy, and even insinuated I had an improper relationship with a student's parent. In those times, that was a capital offense. Soon after, the commune's investigation team arrived. The team was led by a stern-faced middle-aged woman everyone called Comrade Li. Lin Jiao trailed behind Comrade Li, her face a picture of smug, petty triumph. Comrade Li, I heard it with my own ears. She was reciting those sentimental poems in class and said that manual labor is for the lower classes. Such thinking must be severely punished. I stood at the classroom door, my expression calm. Comrade Li asked me with a stern face, Comrade Lin, someone has reported that you have problematic thoughts. How do you explain this? I didn't say a word. I just turned around and waved to the children in the classroom. Class, recite the text we learned yesterday for Comrade Li. Dozens of children stood up in unison, their voices loud and clear. The Red Army fears not the trials of the long march, holding all mountains and rivers as nothing. The perfectly unified recitation shook the dust loose from the rafters. After finishing that one, they recited another piece, Serve the People. Each child was full of vigor, their eyes clear and bright. Comrade Li's expression softened considerably. Well, isn't this quite good? I handed over my teaching plan with a smile. Comrade Li, here are my lesson preparation notes for your review. Every day, what I teach the children are the heroic deeds of our revolutionary martyrs. As for what Comrade Lin Jiao said, I looked at Lin Jiao, my gaze sharp. I think perhaps cousin is the one who has those things on her mind, so she sees them in everyone else. Comrade Li flipped through the lesson plan, its margins densely packed with uplifting, positive annotations. She closed the notebook and fixed Lin Jiao with a stern look. Comrade Lin Jiao, an accusation must be backed by evidence. Falsely accusing an innocent person is also a punishable offense. Lin Jiao panicked. And no, I saw her hide one with my own eyes. Hide what? I cut her off. That book you stuffed under my pillow. Lin Jiao's eyes widened. You. I smiled and pulled a receipt from my pocket. I found that book you mentioned on the road the day before yesterday. Something felt off about it, so I handed it directly over to the village party secretary. This is the receipt he gave me. Cousin, you're not trying to say you left that book there on purpose, are you? Lin Jiao was completely speechless. She never expected I was already one step ahead of her. Comrade Li was furious. He immediately announced a major demerit for Lin Jiao and ordered her to make a public self-criticism at the village assembly. The gamble backfired. Not only did Lin Jiao fail to bring me down this time, but she also completely exhausted what little credibility she had left. Lin Jiao was backed into a corner. Zhou Qing ignored her. The villagers ostracized her, and she was even forced to write a self-criticism. She blamed all her hatred on me, since gentle persuasion didn't work. She decided to get tough. That night, as I was sleeping, I suddenly felt someone touching my bed. My eyes snapped open, and in the moonlight, I saw Lin Jiao furtively stuffing something into my quilt. I didn't move, pretending to still be fast asleep. I waited until she had finished stuffing the items away and crept back into her own bed before I quietly got up. I felt for the things she had slipped in. It was a man's wristwatch and a stack of food ration coupons. I recognized the watch. It belonged to Zhou Qing. It seems she stole Zhou Qing's things and is trying to pin the blame on me, making me look like the thief. In these times of scarcity, theft is a serious crime. You could end up in prison for it. Lin Jiao is trying to ruin me. I let out a cold laugh. If that's how you want to play, then don't blame me for fighting fire with fire. I quietly slipped out of bed and walked over to Lin Jiao's bedside. She was dead asleep, snoring lightly. I slipped the watch and the grain coupons into the pocket of her Dacron shirt and made sure to button it shut. With all that done, I went back to bed and slept soundly. Early the next morning, the educated youth outpost was surrounded by a crowd. Zhou Qing stood at the doorway, his face ashen, with the militia captain by his side. My wristwatch and grain coupons are missing. Someone saw Lin Jiqing lurking around the pig farm last night. Upon hearing this, Lin Jiao immediately sprang out of bed, pointed at me, and shouted, "It was Lin Wan. It must have been Lin Wan who stole it. I saw her sneak out in the middle of the night. Captain, search her bed, now." Her frantic impatience was a dead giveaway. It was written all over her face. The militia captain shot me a glance. "Search it." The militiaman turned my bed upside down, but found nothing. Lin Jiao was dumbstruck. Impossible, it was right there. She stopped mid-sentence, realizing she had let it slip, and quickly covered her mouth. I looked at her with a faint, ambiguous smile. "Cousin, how did you know it was on my bed? Did you put it there yourself?" "That's a lie," Lin Jiao shrieked. "You must have hidden it." At that moment, Zhou Qing suddenly pointed at the shirt hanging at the head of Lin Jiao's bed. "What's that?" The shirt pocket was bulging, its shape clearly off. The militia captain walked over and fished out its contents, a Shanghai brand wristwatch and a stack of grain ration coupons. Caught red-handed, Lin Jiao stared at the watch, her eyes nearly popping out of her head. "No, this isn't mine. How did it get in my pocket? It was supposed to be." "Where was it?" I pressed. "On my bed." Lin Jiao was left speechless, with no way to defend herself. The educated youths around her looked at her with utter contempt, the pot calling the kettle black. "That's just shameless, stealing and then trying to pin it on your cousin. That's truly wicked." Lin Jiao collapsed on the floor, weeping uncontrollably, a complete mess of tears and snot. This time, no one felt any sympathy for her. The militia took her away and locked her in the brigade's woodshed, awaiting the commune's decision. Lin Jiao was locked up for half a month. When she emerged, she had wasted away, her eyes as gloomy as a ghost's. But she hadn't given up hope. Because the quota for returning to the city was about to be announced. In my past life, this spot was given to Zhou Qing. But in this life, thanks to my outstanding teaching record, the commune is considering giving me the university recommendation instead. When the news got out, Lin Jiao started getting restless again. She figures that as long as I can't leave either, she still has a chance. She spread rumors everywhere, saying I was going to abandon the countryside and betray the revolution. She even wrote to her father in the city, who was also my uncle, urging him to use his connections to snatch the opportunity away from me. The day before the results were announced, a black sedan pulled into the village. That was big news back then. The whole village came out to watch. Lin Jiao was so excited she was practically dancing on the spot. "It must be my father. He sent someone for me. I knew my family wouldn't abandon me." She burst out of the educated youth outpost and ran desperately toward the village entrance. I followed her. But I was just going to watch the commotion. The car door opened, and a middle-aged man in a mouse suit stepped out, looking distinguished. Lin Jiao rushed forward, about to call out Dad. The man didn't even glance at her, walking straight past to Zhou Qing, who was standing at the back of the crowd. Young master, the general's name has been cleared. I've been sent to bring you home. Those words hit like a thunderclap, leaving everyone stunned. Zhou Qing, young master, the general. The villagers' jaws dropped in utter disbelief. That black element who hauled manure and fed pigs every day was actually the son of a high-ranking official. Lin Jiao was as if struck by lightning, frozen in place, her face a picture of pure astonishment, shock, regret, jealousy, despair. She finally understood what she had missed. Zhou Qing gave a faint, indifferent nod, showing little surprise. He turned, his gaze sweeping through the crowd before finally settling on me. He strode towards me. Lin Jiao thought he had come for her, and like a dying ember flaring back to life, she took a hopeful step forward. Zhou Qing, I know you're someone special. It was all a misunderstanding before. I truly meant. Zhou Qing simply walked around her, as if avoiding a pile of trash. He stopped in front of me and pulled a book from inside his coat. It was a brand new copy of the self-study series for mathematics, physics, and chemistry. Teacher Lin, thank you for helping me fix the pig pen before, and thank you for not kicking me when I was down. I'm giving you this book. It might come in handy someday. His voice was not loud, but it cut through the silence of the crowd with perfect clarity. I took the book and offered a gracious smile. Thank you, Comrade Zhou. I wish you a safe journey. And so, we simply said our goodbyes. There was no life or death vow from a past life, only a friendship as light and pure as water between gentlemen. Zhou Qing got into the car, and the sedan sped away. It left behind a cloud of exhaust fumes and a completely shattered Lin Jiao. Zhou Qing was gone, taking with him all of Lin Jiao's illusions. As she watched the car disappear in a cloud of dust, she let out a sudden, piercing shriek. No, that's mine, it belongs to me. She charged at me like a madwoman, trying to snatch the book from my hands. Lin Wan, you stole my life from me. I was the one who should have married him. I was the one who should have been the official's wife. She blurted out everything, even the secret of her rebirth, in her hysterical outburst, but the people around her just thought she had lost her mind from the shock. Has Comrade Lin truly gone mad? What nonsense are you talking? I nimbly sidestepped her, watching coldly as she threw a tantrum on the ground. Cousin, a life is earned, not stolen. You scorn the poor and fawn on the rich, clinging to life in fear of death. Even if you were given mountains of gold and silver, you couldn't hold on to them. Lin Jiao lay prone on the ground, her fingernails digging into the dirt, her eyes filled with venomous hatred, but her chance to turn the tables was gone. The next day, the commune's recommendation list was announced. My name was right there on it. I'm leaving for the provincial capital to attend university. As for Lin Jiao, due to repeated mistakes and an unstable mental state, her permission to return to the city was revoked, and she was ordered to remain in the village for continued re-education. On the day of my departure, the whole village came to see me off. I spotted Lin Jiao in a corner of the crowd. She wore a grimy Dacron shirt. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes were vacant. Standing beside her was the village good-for-nothing, Lai San, leering as he held her hand. Word had it that, to avoid starvation, she had agreed to marry Lai San. Lai San was a drunkard and had a violent streak. This was the good life she had schemed and begged for. I averted my gaze and boarded the bus bound for the provincial capital. The scenery outside the window rushed past in reverse. I finally left that small mountain village, with its stench of pig manure and endless scheming, far behind me. Many years later, I stood at the university lectern, looking out at the vibrant students before me as I taught the latest literary theories. I was the youngest professor at the university, having published several monographs, and was deeply admired by my students, although I never became some official's wife. I had built a career and a dignity that were entirely my own. That day, a letter arrived from my hometown. It was from the village chief of those days. The letter said that Lin Jiao, unable to endure Lai San's domestic violence any longer, had taken her own life by drinking pesticides some time ago. When she died, she was still clutching that old allocation list tightly in her hand. The ticket she saw as her gateway to wealth and status ultimately became her death warrant. As for Zhou Qing, it said he did indeed become a high-ranking official later on, but he never married. Some say he carried a torch for someone in his heart, while others say he was wounded in that particular era and lost all faith in love. I set the letter down and gazed out the window. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, dappling the desk with shifting patterns of light and shadow. In my past life, I traded sacrifice and dependence for fleeting security, forever living on tenterhooks. In this life, I rely on my own hands and mind, forging my own broad and prosperous path. There are no shortcuts in life. Those who try to change their fate by stealing the fortune of others will ultimately fall into the pit they dug themselves. True salvation is never found in someone else. It lies within the self that, even while mired in the mud, still chooses to look up at the stars. The bell rang. I closed my lesson plan and said to the students with a smile, "Class dismissed." I had taught this lesson well. I had lived my life even better. Story 2. Hey. Buy me a lottery ticket when you go out to buy groceries later. The numbers are the same as last time. I held the lottery ticket of the previous issue, and my hand unconsciously loosened, and the old lottery ticket in my hand gently slipped to the ground. My husband Feng Shiheng looked at me with disdain. "Tisk, you really can't do any small things now. You can't even hold a lottery ticket steadily." My father-in-law rubbed his toes on the side, pulling the corner of his mouth and smiling contemptuously. "People are getting stupider and stupider when they enjoy themselves at home all day long." I looked at the old lottery ticket on the ground in a trance, and the numbers on it were blurred, just like when my vision was blurred when I was seriously ill. I shook my head vigorously, and quickly bent down to pick up the lottery ticket under their endless verbal attacks. I held the lottery number that could change my destiny hard, and left the suffocating home without looking back. I walked quickly to the gate of the community, panting and bending down to rest for a while. I raised my hand to look at my rough but powerful hands, and pinched my round face. If I hadn't experienced the last life of being bedridden and tortured by illness to the point of being unrecognizable, I couldn't believe that I was reborn at this moment. Without hesitation, I took a taxi with this winning lottery ticket in my hand and went straight to a remote lottery shop in this city. "I want to buy this set of numbers. How much can I buy at most?" I wrote down the numbers engraved in my memory on a piece of paper. This was the combination that Feng Shiheng usually bought, with the two numbers in the back area changed to the first prize combination. In his last life, he won the second prize. With a prize of 700,000 yuan, he immediately bought a new car, satisfying the wishes of the whole family, except for me. Until I became ill from overwork and my life was hanging by a thread, they were still unwilling to take out money to save me, and watched me die of illness. In this life, I will not only let you taste the taste of a beautiful dream being shattered, but also stay away from the unlucky family and let you fend for yourself. The maximum amount you can buy for a single ticket is 6,000 yuan. Are you sure you want to buy so much? I thought for a moment. If I won the highest prize in the world based on my memory, it would definitely attract the attention of others. It's better to keep a low profile. "No, I'm just asking out of curiosity. I'll just buy 3 tickets." According to the current prize pool, the first prize for buying 3 tickets is already 15 million. I quickly bought the lottery ticket. I held the lottery ticket that could change my destiny, and then I began to think about how to keep it properly. I married far away and have never worked. I can say that I don't have many friends here. Feng Shiheng's family took advantage of this weakness of mine and used me and belittled me unscrupulously. I initially understood the process and location of claiming the prize, and decided to rent a fully decorated apartment near the prize claiming place. I made an appointment with the agent to take a look at the security and environment of the community, and soon gave 3 months of rent and deposit. Sitting in the apartment, I felt that I had a place of my own in this city. I have always been frugal, so I decided to choose this room the first time I saw the river view. It was rare for the agent to meet a tenant as straightforward as me. After collecting the rent, he gave me the key directly. For safety, I chose to change the door lock at my own expense, and replaced it with a password lock with good anti-theft performance. After handling all this, I locked the lottery ticket in the apartment with confidence and took a taxi back to the original market to buy vegetables. In order to reassure Feng Shiheng, I bought a machine-selected lottery ticket at the lottery shop at the entrance of the market. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Feng Shiheng lying on the sofa and watching videos with a smile. I waved 2 lottery tickets in front of him. "Honey, I bought the lottery ticket. Where do I put it?" Feng Shiheng was interrupted by me and said impatiently, "I usually put it in my coat pocket. Why do you still ask? It took you so long to buy vegetables. Did you take the opportunity to go out and be lazy?" I deliberately made a noise and put the lottery ticket into my clothes. Then I said coldly, "Am I the nanny of this family? Have you paid me?" Feng Shiheng was directly contradicted by me for the first time. His face was stunned. "What do you mean? I am not an employee. Why should I be lazy?" He paused and didn't know how to respond for a while. When my mother-in-law heard this, she pointed at me with a mean face and scolded me. "There are so many things to do at home, and you ran out for most of the day without saying a word. If you are not lazy, what is it?" I put the dishes in the kitchen, came out and glanced at her and replied, "No one in the family will move, right? All these things are waiting for me to do." My mother-in-law was furious, and her voice unconsciously raised. She yelled at me, "We spent so much money to marry you back, not for you to show off. You don't work and expect my son to support you, so you just take care of the housework honestly. I tell you, if you can live, live, if you can't, divorce. My son can still marry a young girl after the divorce." I didn't care and sneered, "Don't talk about your son. Your husband can also marry a young girl after the divorce." My mother-in-law was so angry that she patted her chest, raised her hand and pointed at me, trembling, you nonstop." Feng Shiheng interrupted the argument between me and my mother-in-law. Okay, stop talking nonsense, hurry up and cook, I'm hungry." I stopped arguing with my mother-in-law and turned to walk into the kitchen. He snorted disdainfully and continued to watch videos on his phone. My son Feng Junyang came home from school, put down his school bag and took off his coat and threw them in my direction. This time I was so indifferent that I didn't reach out to catch them. The school bag and coat were just thrown at my feet. He muttered unhappily, "Pick them up quickly, you can't even do such a small thing." I looked at the ground indifferently, seeing that I didn't move. He yelled at me, "Pick it up for me." I kicked the school bag out of the kitchen without even looking at him. He was so angry that he yelled at me. "Are you crazy, woman?" I responded coldly, "I'm your mother, not this woman, you stupid woman who knows nothing. If my father didn't want you, you would have been sweeping the streets long ago." I ignored his crazy talk and took a few deep breaths to adjust my mood. Today, in order to celebrate my rebirth, I bought all the dishes I like to eat, so I can't waste such good ingredients. Looking at the spicy and fresh food on the table, I picked up the chopsticks with satisfaction and prepared to eat heartily. Feng Junyang was the first to express dissatisfaction and slapped the chopsticks on the ground. "Why is there nothing I like? I won't eat it." Mother-in-law fiddled with the dishes in front of her with disdain, found a piece of pork belly in a pile of peppers, and spit it out as soon as she put it in her mouth. "Ahem, didn't I tell you that we can't eat spicy food? But you still made it so spicy. Are you deliberately against us?" I ignored it and picked up the spicy shrimp in front of me and took a bite. The shrimp shell was crispy and the shrimp meat was slightly spicy and spicy. This long-lost flavor made me ignore my mother-in-law's picky face. "Su Shiyan, can't you hear my mother talking to you? How can we eat these dishes?" After swallowing a shrimp, I pretended to be stupid and replied, "Such delicious dishes. How can we not eat them? You are the only one in the family who eats spicy food, who will eat these spicy dishes. You also know that I like spicy food, so of course I will eat it. Aren't these dishes not spicy?" Feng Shiheng pushed the green vegetables in front of him with disdain. "It's so plain, even dogs won't eat it." I sneered and replied, "Well, then it's reasonable for you not to eat it." My father-in-law glared at me, threw away his chopsticks, stood up, picked up his coat and opened the door to go out. Seeing this, Feng Junyang quickly stood up and followed. "Grandpa, wait for me." Feng Shiheng and mother-in-law also stood up and left the table. Before leaving, they said viciously, "This meal cannot be counted in the food expenses. I will deduct it from you next month." I tilted my head and raised my eyebrows, not taking his threat seriously at all. I enjoyed the first delicious meal after rebirth happily. After eating, I cleaned up the kitchen and went back to the bedroom without waiting for them to come back. I picked up the tablet and started to check the recent hotspots, and made plans for the development of my future life. When Feng Shiheng and his family came back and saw the dark living room and quiet home, they thought I had fallen asleep, so my mother-in-law started to complain about me unscrupulously. "Son, your wife is getting more and more arrogant. She eats and wears our clothes, but she doesn't behave herself and is getting more and more arrogant." My father-in-law echoed, "If you don't teach her a lesson now, she will soon step on your head." Feng Shiheng thought for a moment and said viciously, "When I get rich one day, I will kick her out of the house first." I sat in the bedroom and sneered, "It's not certain who will kick whom out of the house. In my previous life, I didn't understand the law and didn't know that I had the right to dispose of the common property of the couple. If he didn't give me money to treat my illness, I would be helpless. After understanding it thoroughly in this life, I must find a way to keep him away from it. Put down the tablet and look forward to the lottery tomorrow." Feng Shiheng is an old lottery player. The time of the lottery has been engraved in his mind. As soon as it was announced, he opened his mobile phone to check. "Oh, I won." After he exclaimed, my parents-in-law came out of the bedroom and asked curiously, "Son, you are so happy. Did you win a lot?" Feng Shiheng glanced at me, stood up and pulled my parents-in-law into the bedroom quietly. I immediately followed them on tiptoe and stood by the door to eavesdrop. I won 700,000, mother-in-law exclaimed. 70, father-in-law immediately stopped her. Shoo, keep your voice down, son, take the prize first, and put it in your pocket. Okay, I'll go right away. Hearing this, I quickly flashed back to our bedroom, and Feng Shiheng came in right behind him, took his coat and left without saying a word. However, Feng Shiheng came back angrily not long after he left. The lottery ticket you gave me is an old one, where is the new one? He yelled at me. I looked innocent. How could it be an old one? You clearly saw me put both the new and old lottery tickets into my pocket. Feng Shiheng grabbed my collar and said, "Don't try to fool me. I went to the lottery shop and they said the lottery ticket I gave you was old and expired." I was shocked, but I remained calm on the surface. Feng Shiheng, calm down. I am sure that the lottery ticket I gave you was newly bought. Did you accidentally lose it when you went out? Feng Shiheng's eyes widened. I checked my pocket when I went out, and the lottery ticket was clearly in it. You must have tampered with it. I insisted. I didn't touch your lottery ticket. You were too excited and didn't find it clearly. Otherwise, you can look for it carefully again. Feng Shiheng began to search his coat pocket angrily, but he couldn't find the newly bought lottery ticket after searching for a long time. He got even angrier. Look, I've searched all my pockets, but there's no lottery ticket. I pretended to be unaware of the situation and asked, "How much did you win? Why are you so nervous?" He yelled at me. I won the second prize, 700,000. I was shocked and wide-eyed, and shouted in panic, "Oh my God, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and look for it." Under my deception, the whole family searched the house like crazy, but the lottery ticket with the machine-selected numbers had been taken away when I pretended to put it in my pocket and took my hand out, and it was already in the sewer. No matter how hard they searched, they couldn't find it, and I insisted that I had bought it for him. So he had no evidence and couldn't do anything to me. Seeing that we had almost finished searching, everyone was very irritable, so I took the initiative to say, "It seems to have been thrown outside. I'll go out and look for it." Looking at the messy house, I didn't want to clean it up alone later. I went out and had a comfortable meal. I found a printing shop to print out the things I needed, put them in envelopes and went home slowly. The house was quiet. It seemed that they were hungry after looking for the lottery tickets, so they went out to eat. This was really God's help. I hurried back to the bedroom to put the envelope away and pack up my personal belongings. They returned home just after they were done. Seeing their depressed faces, they must have gone out to look for a round. Feng Shiheng saw me coming out of the bedroom, and suddenly got angry. He rushed over and pointed at me and yelled, "Did you know that the lottery ticket won the prize? So you took it away secretly while my parents and I went in?" I was not to be outdone, and yelled at him, "Didn't I help find it too? If you still don't believe it, call the police to arrest me. I gave you the lottery ticket last night. How many places have you been to so far? You don't even know where you lost it. You just know how to get angry at me. What kind of man are you?" Feng Shiheng was choked by my words and was speechless for a while. He obviously didn't expect me to refute so strongly. You. He pointed at my hand and trembled, so angry that he couldn't speak. I sneered, but I was thinking about the next plan in my heart. Seeing him panting, I suppressed my anger and comforted him. "Husband, calm down, let's think about it first. Where else the lottery ticket could be?" I tried to stay calm and tried to calm his anger. "Don't try to change the subject. The house has been turned upside down and still can't find it. I ask you, where is the lottery ticket?" He was furious and obviously didn't want to hear any explanation. "I really don't know. Think about it carefully. Who else have you talked about your lottery ticket with besides our family?" I tried to calm him down and divert his attention from me. He thought for a moment, picked up his coat and rushed out of the house. He said he asked his brothers to drink last night, and it is likely that he took the last opportunity to go out to find his brothers. Out of sight, out of mind. I am happy to be free if I can't see Feng Shiheng. My mother-in-law wouldn't let me off so easily. "Shiryan, what are you doing? Hurry up and clean up the house. Look how messy it is." I responded obediently and started to clean up quickly. After moving 2 drawers, I stood up suddenly, staggered a few steps, and fell towards my mother-in-law who was supervising on the side. Hey. What's wrong with you?" I pretended to be unconscious and pressed my whole body on my mother-in-law, and we both fell to the ground. Seeing this, my father-in-law dropped the things in his hands and came to support my mother-in-law, and even my son called Grandma. The mother-in-law who was overwhelmed kicked me twice angrily. "This useless thing, you fainted after cleaning so few things." My father-in-law helped my mother-in-law up and sat her on the sofa. And Feng Junyang asked about her mother-in-law's condition diligently. I just lay on the ground and no one cared about me. A few people scolded me for a long time, and found that I was really unconscious, so they became worried. Old lady, do you think we should call an ambulance to take her to the hospital since she's lying on the ground like this? It's free to call an ambulance, apply some peppermint oil to her and she'll wake up in a while. Yang, you go, my son is really my own. He put peppermint oil on my eyes with his fingers, and I was so stingy that tears came out of my eyes. I couldn't pretend any longer, so I coughed weakly twice and woke up slowly. Did I faint again? Feng Junyang turned to her mother-in-law with excitement and said, Grandma, I woke her up. After hearing this, her mother-in-law stood up and looked at me, and asked hypocritically, Shuryan, what's wrong with you? I raised my hand and pressed my temple with my fingers, pretending to be stupid, and said, Mom, I'm fine. I've been feeling dizzy lately. I'll be fine after a good night's sleep. Hearing that I was fine, her mother-in-law put away her fake concern and said, That's good, go and rest first, and we'll clean up tomorrow. I can delay it for one day, maybe I won't be in this house tomorrow. I nodded weakly, supported myself with my hands and slowly stood up, holding onto the wall and returning to my bedroom step by step. Feng Shiheng did not return home for another night. I got up as usual to make breakfast for the whole family, and just as I finished, I saw him enter the room with a strong smell of alcohol. When he saw me, he immediately showed a look of disgust, and he was too lazy to speak, and went straight back to the bedroom to change clothes. My parents-in-law and Feng Junyang came out for breakfast on time. Feng Shiheng came out after changing his clothes. His face was ashen, and he looked at me meaningfully. I served him a bowl of porridge as if nothing had happened, and carefully observed his expression, and I could clearly feel his disgust and disgust for me. He suddenly got angry and flipped the bowl, yelling at me, It's all you. You made me lose the lottery ticket, and the 700,000 yuan I got just flew away in vain. I said aggrievedly, You know how to vent your anger on me when you lose the lottery ticket. I am your wife, not your maid. You are unlucky and you are not worthy of being my wife. I want to divorce you. As soon as these words came out, the remaining three people instantly stunned. My mother-in-law was the first to react and advised Feng Shiheng, Son, have you thought it through? I knew what she meant. It would be hard to find another daughter-in-law as easy to handle and capable as me. I expected that she would prevent us from getting divorced. So I prepared the second step of the plan. Feng Shiheng said solemnly, Mom, I've thought it through. This jinx will only drag us down if she stays in our family. I squinted my eyes hard, squeezed out tears, and choked. Feng Shiheng, you want to divorce me just because of that lottery ticket that no one knows who lost it? We've been married for 10 years. I continued to choke, and said in a trembling voice, Are you really so cruel that you want to abandon me for a lottery ticket that may never be found? My father-in-law also joined the persuasion at this time. He said in a deep voice, Shiheng, marriage is not a joke. You two have been through so many ups and downs for so many years. You can't make a decision because of a momentary impulse. Feng Shiheng seemed to have made up his mind. He responded coldly, Dad, I know what I am doing. She must not stay in this family anymore. I sneered in my heart. He really saw the fake medical examination report of serious illness that I put in the bedroom. I pretended to be desperate and said, Okay, since you are so determined, I will not force it. Divorce is fine, but I want my child. Feng Shiheng was stunned for a moment. Obviously he did not expect me to make such a request. He was silent for a moment, and just as he was about to speak, Feng Junyang took the lead. No, I want to follow my father. I gave birth to him for 9 years, but I didn't expect to get such a sentence in return. But it's good this way. Now that I have seen the true face of the ungrateful wolf, I can resolutely break off everything in the past. My mother-in-law also joined the ranks of refusing. Yang is the eldest son and grandson of our Feng family. Why do you take him away? How can a woman who knows nothing support my precious grandson? Feng Shiheng did not allow me to explain and directly ordered me to leave. In short, I am going to divorce. Bring me the marriage certificate now, and we will go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I insisted on staying in the restaurant, and Feng Shiheng went straight into the house and threw out the things given to me. My mother-in-law couldn't help but go in to persuade me, but after a while, she also took out my luggage with a gloomy face and threw it on the ground. Hurry up and go through the formalities. Don't ruin our family's good feng shui here, it's unlucky. I squatted down and picked up my luggage with grievance, and walked out without saying a word. On the way, Feng Shiheng and I walked to the processing window of the Civil Affairs Bureau in silence. The staff asked us the reason for the divorce, and Feng Shiheng answered first, We are incompatible and can't continue to live together. I nodded calmly, and the staff continued to ask, has the child's custody and property division been negotiated? This was like Feng Shihong's reverse scale. And he was furious. What property is there to talk about? I bought the house and car. She has been eating and wearing my clothes for so many years, and she has never earned a penny for the family. Why should she share my property? The people who were handling business around him couldn't help but look at us when they heard his arrogant and ruthless remarks. A newlywed couple who had just obtained their marriage certificate frowned at us, and the woman said with contempt, "If you dare to do this to me in the future, I will never let you go." The man said with a strong desire to survive, "I don't even bother to do such a scumbag's behavior." The staff looked at me helplessly, and I said to her with anger, "It has been negotiated, the child belongs to him, and I don't want the property anymore." The staff looked at me sympathetically, nodded, and began to handle the procedures for us. Come together to get the divorce certificate after the 30-day cooling-off period. I stood up and looked at Feng Shihong deeply. Feng Shihong looked at me with disgust, then turned and left. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief when I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau. The second step of the plan was finally successful. As long as I survive the 30-day cooling-off period, I will have nothing to do with this family. I took a taxi directly to the apartment with my luggage. After putting down my luggage, I didn't want to do anything. I lay on the sofa and stared at the river view outside. I have to keep a low profile for these 30 days, and not let Feng Shihong find any abnormality, otherwise all efforts will fail. Every day when I open my eyes, I don't have to do anything. I can order takeout if I want to eat, and do some exercise when I have enough rest. Except for finding excuses to deal with my parents' calls, everything else is fine. I haven't lived such a comfortable life for more than 10 years, without worries, without pressure, and life is simply too comfortable. Maybe happy time passes very quickly, and 30 days are gone in the blink of an eye. I changed into simple clothes and appeared in the Civil Affairs Bureau without makeup. Feng Shihong's eyes lit up when he saw me. After all, I was not as decadent as he imagined, and my skin and figure were obviously better. I couldn't let him have any regrets. So I went to the processing window first. The staff took a look at us, collected our information, and quickly completed it, handing us 2 divorce certificates. Holding this pass to regain freedom, I almost couldn't suppress the corners of my mouth. Feng Shihong quickly distanced himself from the relationship and said, "Su Shiyan, we have no relationship from now on. We have nothing to do with each other in life, death and sickness." I sneered and replied, "Don't worry. I also hope to have nothing to do with you until we die." Feng Shihong snorted coldly and got into the car without looking back. I returned to the apartment, took out my first prize lottery ticket and ID, changed my clothes and put on a mask, and prepared to go out to receive the prize in disguise. When I saw the balance on the bank card, I really felt reborn, a free rebirth. My mother called worriedly, "Shiryan, you are divorced at this age. What can you do?" "Mom, how did you know?" "Shihong has already posted it on his Moments. How long do you want to keep it from me?" I sat up and opened Feng Shihong's Moments. Wow, I can't wait to receive the prize, and he can't wait to announce his free status. You can go crazy with the right person only after you say goodbye to the wrong one. I burst out laughing and commented below, "I really want to go crazy after staying in your house for a long time." My mother listened to me laughing on the other end of the phone and asked me hurriedly, "My daughter, don't scare your mother." "Mom, I will go back and explain it to you face to face." After hanging up the phone, I bought a first-class ticket for the nearest flight and took a special car directly to my doorstep after getting off the plane. My parents had already prepared my favorite dishes for me. They forced smiles but couldn't hide their worries. The 3 of us haven't seen each other for 2 years. My unstoppable smile and their frowning brows were in sharp contrast, unable to hide it from them anymore. I directly transferred 1 million to each of them. The moment they saw the amount, their eyes almost popped out. "My daughter, did Feng Shihong give you so much money when they divorced you?" I couldn't help laughing again. "Mom, do you think it's possible? A person who even thought the air ticket was too expensive for me to go home during the spring festival would give me 2 million, even if their whole family sold together, they might not have 2 million. I won the lottery, first prize, a lot of money." My parents opened their mouths wide and couldn't speak for a long time. After completely digesting the news, they laughed so hard that they couldn't close their mouths. "Doesn't Feng Shihong know that you won the lottery? What about Yang Yang? Why don't you bring him with you?" I sighed and told him everything about how Feng Shihong's family treated me. My father was so angry that he slapped his thigh and said, "I felt that boy was unreliable at the time, and you insisted on marrying far away." My mother's eyes were red, and she choked slightly and said, I called you all day and said that everything was going well, but it turned out that you were lying to us, seeing that the atmosphere was a little wrong. I quickly laughed and said, oh, this is not the end of hardship, and it will be a good life in the future, but wealth should not be exposed, so let only the three of us know about my winning the lottery. My father nodded solemnly, this is natural, and you should not be too ostentatious. This money is your support for the rest of your life. I hugged their necks with emotion. Sure enough, only my parents treated me sincerely. But it seemed against human nature to do nothing after winning the lottery, so I took my parents to join a luxury tour group. I spent 2 months playing like a tyrant, traveling all over the country, and I was so ruthless that I couldn't help posting on WeChat moments. After I came back, I bought a large flat for my parents in my hometown and changed the car. After this round of operations, I spent less than 3 million. I wandered around the house for a month without doing anything. It was not until the landlord contacted me to pay the rent that I realized that I had been extravagant for 3 months. I thought about going back to pack my luggage and return to my hometown. Looking at the people coming and going at the airport for their lives, I suddenly felt that my life was meaningless. After staying in the apartment for 2 days, I seriously thought about my future life plan and finally decided to start my own business, but I had been a housewife for 10 years. And my cognition has long been out of touch with this society. For a while, I didn't know what industry I should be in. Over the years, I have developed a habit of cleaning up the house whenever I can't figure out something. In the past 2 days, the apartment has been cleaned by me. Suddenly, a light bulb flashed. I am most familiar with housekeeping. Maybe I can open a housekeeping company to test the waters first. As a man of action, I immediately started to do market research. And my target customers were middle and high-income groups. As a nanny, I began to apply for jobs at various domestic service companies and high-end communities, collecting the requirements of these employers for nannies and the salary expectations of nannies for employers. After several days of investigation, I had a rough idea in my mind. Today is the last community to visit. This one is a newly promoted high-end community. It is just because of the new commercial buildings and urban expressways in the surrounding area that the housing prices in this community have risen sharply. Wei, I'm your aunt. Are you home? We plan to visit your parents at your home. Walking in the garden of the community, a familiar voice came from behind, but the flattering attitude made me doubt that I had heard it wrong. Okay, we'll wait for you here. I looked back and it was indeed my mean ex-mother-in-law. The moment our eyes met, she returned to her familiar look. Son, look, isn't this Su Shiyan? Feng Shiheng looked up at me, and seeing my simple outfit, he frowned and walked over to me. Are you following me? I looked at him with contempt. Are you sick? Feng Shiheng's face sank. Hurry up and leave. Don't embarrass me here. Mother-in-law echoed. That's right. My son found a partner not long after leaving you, and she's the daughter of a wealthy family, unlike you, who smells poor inside and out. I was about to fight back, but I caught a glimpse of a slightly plump girl behind me, walking towards us with a drooping face. It's hot and sunny today. Why are you here? You made me go downstairs to pick you up. When my ex-mother-in-law heard the voice, she immediately put on a smile and turned around. Wei, this is not because Auntie likes you more and more, and wants Shiheng to marry you as soon as possible. So I came to visit your parents today, Wei said unhappily. My parents are very busy, and I can't see them without an appointment. My ex-mother-in-law suppressed her temper and smiled. It's okay, Auntie brought you delicious food, and we will come next time when you make an appointment with your parents. Wei saw me standing still, looking straight at them, and asked curiously, who is this person? Are you together? My ex-mother-in-law quickly distanced herself from the relationship and said, this person has nothing to do with us. We don't know him, I quickly said aggrievedly. Auntie, although Shiheng and I are divorced, I am still Yang's mother. You don't have to be so mean. When Wei heard that I was Feng Shiheng's ex-wife, she immediately became interested in me. Shiheng, is she the selfish ex-wife you mentioned? She doesn't look like that, Feng Shiheng explained awkwardly. Wei, you can't judge a person by appearance. She abandoned her husband and children. And now she has retribution and has fallen to be a nanny. Feng Shiheng, you slander me like this, right? Shiheng, how can you slander me like this? You knew I was seriously ill, but you still cruelly kicked me out of the house and asked me to leave with nothing. I have been a nanny for your family for so many years. I have no credit, but I have worked hard. Now you are slandering me like this. When I was excited, I covered my face and coughed violently, which made me look even more miserable. Feng Shihong's face was livid, and he didn't dare to get angry at me in front of his new partner. My ex-mother-in-law couldn't help but come forward to help me, but in fact she whispered in my ear to warn me, Su Shiyan, are you looking for death? Don't forget that Yang Yang is also your son. I broke free from my ex-mother-in-law's hand and fell to the ground weakly, looking back at her in disbelief. Auntie, you used to be mean to me at home. And now you push me. I owed your family in my last life, right? At the beginning, I said I wanted to take Yang Yang away, but you refused to let me. Now you want to use Yang Yang to threaten me to shut up. You are so cruel. My ex-mother-in-law looked at me sitting on the ground, and then at the angry Wei Wei, and was at a loss for a while. Feng Shihong came forward and wanted to hold her hand. Wei Wei, listen to my explanation. What she said is not true. She is deliberately trying to destroy us. Wei Wei was so scared that she retracted her hands behind her back and shook her head and said, I will ask someone to clarify your matter. Don't come to me recently. She ran home after saying this. I couldn't help laughing when I saw her running fast. Feng Shihong and his mother glared at me angrily and yelled at me, you are such a jinx, you are dying of illness and you still want to drag us down. Look at your poor appearance. You must have no money to treat your illness and have to work as a nanny. This is your retribution. I stood up leisurely and patted the dust on my body, raised my head and said confidently, what's wrong with being a nanny? A nanny makes money with her own labor and wisdom, clean and upright. You think it's easy to take care of a home, right? Housewives are just enjoying life at home, right? Let me tell you, you have to worry as much as you do at work, without us taking care of the home. You can't work so hard with peace of mind. I said everything I had held back before, and my mood suddenly became better. Applause suddenly broke out around me, and several women dressed as housewives probably couldn't help but applaud after hearing what I said. Sister, you said it very well. Yes, I hate people who ignore the efforts of housewives, ask them to do housework and take care of children for a day. That's right. Who dares to marry someone who bullies a patient? Amidst the doubts, Feng Shihong and his mother stubbornly said, what's your business? And left in disgrace. I nodded to them gratefully. A girl who looked less than 30 years old approached me and asked kindly, Sister, are you feeling better? I saw you fall just now. I'm fine, thank you sister. After the two sides communicated, I learned that her name was Lu Shoujuan. She had just come to this community to work as a nanny. She chose this profession because she had younger brothers and sisters to support. Although this job was tiring, the income was high. It was a good choice for her with a low level of education. I saw that she was not very old, but she had a lot of work experience, so I couldn't help but add her contact information, thinking of asking her more about this industry. After a few visits, we became familiar with each other. When I told her that I wanted to start a housekeeping company, she immediately expressed her desire to join me, with the help of Lu Shoujuan. My housekeeping company quickly became popular. She simply joined our company and was responsible for recruiting nannies. I also hired a salesperson, Chen Xiao, to be responsible for talking to customers. In this way, I easily became a small boss and bought the rented apartment. I stayed and ran the company with Lu Shoujuan and Chen Xiao. In fact, I don't care how much this company makes. The key is that there is a place to rely on and we can work hard for a goal together. In order to avoid repeating the same mistakes, I tried not to make myself too tired. After the company was on the right track, I took time to exercise and maintain my health. Life was so beautiful and promising. My parents occasionally came to see me and stayed for a while before going back. In the middle, I heard a small episode, and Lu Shoujuan handed me her mobile phone with great interest. It turns out that day, Feng Shihong and his mother the conflict was filmed and posted online, which resonated with many people. People who stood up for the majority of housewives even dug up information about Feng Shihong and Wei Wei. It turned out that Wei Wei was not as rich as she said, but her parents had a good eye for investment and bought this house before the house price rose. After learning the truth, Feng Shihong no longer begged for reconciliation with a smug face, and even chased Wei Wei to ask her to return the money she spent on their relationship. Wei Wei was not a good person either, and she directly complained to his company, saying that he cheated on women's feelings. In addition, Feng Shihong's family's mean ex-wife and the video that looked down on the group of housewives went viral, and she lost her job directly. Seeing their end, my peaceful and happy life has also added a lot of fun. Every day, I was very happy to chase Feng Shihong's melons, but I didn't expect that one day I would eat my own head. Hello, are you looking for a nanny? I was sitting at the front desk, concentrating on opening a package. When I heard the inquiry, I answered without looking up, yes, fill in the information here. When I took the form and pen to the reception desk next to the front desk, I saw that the person who came to apply for the job was my ex-mother-in-law. Seeing that I was full of energy and ready, she looked at me in surprise for several minutes. Her haggard and tired appearance also made me look at her a few more times. "What are you looking at? It's all your fault that our family has become like this," I frowned and retorted. "We don't hire nannies with bad attitudes here. Go away." "Hey, you little receptionist dared to chase me away. I was introduced by someone. Do you know if you have connections?" I crossed my arms and asked calmly, "Whose connections do you have to be so strong?" "Of course it's your boss." I burst out laughing and asked curiously, "Do you know our boss?" "Of course." "These things are not your turn to ask about. Hurry up and arrange a job for me." "I can't arrange it. First, you are over the age limit, and second, you are not capable enough and have a bad attitude. We can't afford you." The ex-mother-in-law was relentless and said she would complain about me. Lu Shoujuan came out after hearing the noise. "What happened? Call your boss out." "I want to complain." Lu Shoujuan looked at me in confusion. I shrugged. She replied, "Our boss is right in front of you." The ex-mother-in-law opened her mouth in surprise and couldn't speak. I pretended to be stupid and asked, "Then do you still want to complain? You are an old woman with no money and no ability. Where did you get the money to start a company? You must be supported by a rich old man, right? The world is really going downhill. Being a mistress can be so righteous. I'm going to report you. Report your company for illegal operation." Listening to her getting more and more outrageous, I pointed to the camera on the ceiling with a gloomy face. "Auntie, our company has surveillance. If you slander me again, I can only report you to the police for defamation." The ex-mother-in-law looked at the camera fearfully, knowing that she would not get any good results if she continued to make trouble, so she had to leave cursing. Looking at her staggering steps, today's impact on her was not small. After a few days of peace, Cece, the front desk girl, suddenly came in with a bouquet of flowers and asked with a gossipy face, "Boss, who loves you?" I took it in surprise, opened the card and took a look, and quickly stuffed the flowers back into her arms. "Take it away, take it away. Don't bring this unlucky thing in." Cece didn't understand and asked curiously, "Boss, do you know who it is?" "My ex-husband, that selfish and disgusting man." I recognized that handwriting at a glance. Could it be that my ex-mother-in-law went back and told him that I was the boss, and he wanted to take advantage of it? Sure enough, he blocked me as soon as I got off work and left the company. Shuryin. After losing you, I know who treats me best. You have treated me wholeheartedly over the years, and I am so foolish to divorce you. I am simply not a human being." After saying that, he raised his hand and slapped himself in the face. The sound was crisp and loud, and he was a ruthless person. I nodded and agreed, "Yeah, I also think you are not a human being." He was embarrassed for a few seconds, and continued with a thick face, "I already know I was wrong. Please give me another chance for Yang Yang's sake, okay? I will definitely treat you well in the future, and listen to you in everything. Let's start over." I lowered my head and couldn't stop laughing, almost laughing to tears. "Ha ha ha, are you thinking that I am about to die, and when I die, my company and my money will belong to you?" I immediately changed to a new car, satisfying the wishes of the whole family, except for me. His eyes flickered when I touched his heart, and then his face changed, looking at me affectionately. "Shuryin, you really have a big misunderstanding of me. I admit that I neglected you at the beginning, didn't know you were sick, and divorced you in a moment of impulsiveness. I know I was wrong now. For the sake of so many years of relationship, can you give me a chance to make a new start?" He was about to hold my hand, and I stepped back several steps in fear. "No, if you harass me again, I'll call the police." Chen Xiao came out from get off work and saw the scene. He didn't know what to do. I waved at him and he immediately understood and came to protect me. "What do you want to do? Get out of here." Feng Shiheng saw the tall Chen Xiao and wanted to argue with him, but when he saw his muscular body, he immediately backed off. When Chen Xiao took a step forward, he took a step back, saying, "Shuryin, I will let you see my sincerity. I will not give up so easily. Yang Yang misses you too. I will bring him to see you next time." Looking at his back that finally disappeared, I helplessly supported my forehead and sighed. "It seems that I have to hide for a while." "Boss, where do you want to hide?" "I haven't traveled for a long time. I will travel for a year or two and see where it is suitable to open a branch, but before I travel, I have to find a lawyer to make a will, otherwise there will always be hidden dangers. Feng Juanyang's custody is not with me, but he is still eligible to inherit my estate. Instead of leaving the money to an ungrateful person to squander, I might as well make arrangements early. Lu Shoujuan later told me that Feng Shiheng came several times but couldn't find me. He left cursing and never appeared again. When his relatives and friends talked about his family, they all shook their heads. Feng Shiheng, who couldn't find a job, had to rely on borrowing money to make a living. Feng Junyang, who was poor in academic performance and got into trouble everywhere, stopped going to school after junior high school and spent all day on the streets. In the end, he got into trouble and had to pay a huge sum of money. Feng Shiheng was so angry that he had a stroke and was paralyzed in bed, which was more painful than death. The ex-mother-in-law took odd jobs to take care of the old and sick ex-father-in-law. She didn't dare to stop even when she was sick. The family lived in dire straits. Lying on the sofa in the villa and watching gossip on the phone is really a different experience.